we had paid for the land, which is now paid for, 31 acres right there at that, where east and west meet. That's where God cast all the sin, and we have to deal with it. And that's about the way it is half the time. And that's why we've got all the strong intercessors there. But now we have the land. We met at Rosh Hashanah. Now we've met at Passover there. And it's been just awesome watching what the Lord is doing. Then I knew that my first meeting would be here. So in other words, this is only the third time in probably since 86 or so that I have been where I've set aside a time frame at home doing all of that and then moving forward. So this is actually my first meeting. So when I got here, I said, now, Lord, I don't want to bring something that I've spoken up to now because I know where you are in time and I know what you're saying, and so you've got to give it to me. Well, we got here early. We took the early flight out this morning so we could get here and we could get settled and we could pray and get used to what was going on. And I would press in, but I couldn't hear. You know what I mean? I couldn't hear, Lord, exactly what is it you want me to say tonight? Because, you know, some of us have been around a long time. We know the Word of God. We have lots of messages that we're speaking and we're hearing. But you don't want to do that when you come to a meeting like this. You want to wait until God gives you the order of what he's saying. Now let me begin over what he said, and then I'm going to connect it in to what Bill got up and prophesied. Because once he got up and prophesied, that's why I was getting late getting here, because I just finished getting what God was saying, and then we drove here. And so I want to show you how the Lord wants us to understand tonight. Now, first of all, I believe we have shifted into a new glory realm. Now, I see Sharon and Greg here. We were in England this year. We are shifting into a new glory realm. Tell somebody that. You will radiate. Say that out loud. Now, because heaven and earth are divinely connecting. This is the ladder that you keep hearing about. We are in a season that means see your ladder form. So write that down. Everywhere you go, you must see that ladder form before you. How will you get up and down into the new place that God has for you? How will you move the way God has you to move? And so now there are certain heavenly dimensions that are opened up, and there's a divine connecting that is happening between heaven and earth. It also means this: what God began in one season, he's bringing you back to the place. Everybody say place. Where he has begun a lot of things, and now, beginning now, when I say now, I mean now. I mean, everybody say now. He's going to start completing a lot of things at that place that were begun. So that becomes very, very important for us to understand. And Isaiah 60 is very important for us because it begins with, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Rise from oppression and depression that has held you prostrate. That was right. You have to think on that word right quick. Now, that has held you down. And arise to new life. That's what that word says when you're mixing it with an understanding of the Hebraic understanding of it. And so it says, because the glory is being upon you. That means, now this is what it means when you look at it in context, beginning at Isaiah 50, 10 chapters back. It means I'm connecting the prophetic through the last 3 generations. And when that is fully connected and those words are connected, my glory is coming down upon you. So I loved it when we started dancing with the generations here, because it is part of what God is doing right now to connect the word. Now, some of you say, well, you know, nobody in my family was saved. I'm the first one. Let us see. How many of you are the first believer in your family? All right, that's about 25% of us, 30% of us. How many of you were the first one filled with the Spirit of God in your family? See, that's more of us. And yet, what's happened is what you're hearing with Bill and Larry and others being up here. You've connected into a tribe that you're a part of. Therefore, the words of that corporate tribe are also yours. I mean, we're not just talking about family bloodline. Your family had a destiny or has a destiny. Your bloodline has a destiny. Doesn't matter who you are. If you were knit together in your mother's womb, if you are living and here, you were knit together in your mother's womb by the hand of God, and there is a destined manifestation that is for you. We sang about it tonight. Now, what happens is when that is connected, that's part of that ladder. I'm going to take you back, Jacob, and you're going to lay down and go to sleep, but you're going to lay your head on the rock that Abraham used. See? And all of a sudden, I'm going to connect a memorial that Abraham had with what you're doing right now, and then we're going to connect these generations for the future. All right? So that's part of what that ladder means. I'm connecting words that have been released through the generations, and now the glory is going to come on those words, but it means more than just the glory of God coming on those words. This word here says you will radiate. In other words, there will be a manifestation of this word working in you, and you will begin to radiate. See, here was my problem with this land thing. I left a very prosperous business role to be a part of building programs, which I've always been a part of in some ministry. But in my own life, we owned land, lots of land. It was called Rehoboth. Now, that's back before I ever knew what Rehoboth meant. And so, in the midst of it, all of the inheritance of those generations had rolled up on that side in this piece of property called Rehoboth. My dad had acquired access to it and was the steward of it, and he went the wrong direction. Instead of pulling it fully in to the next generation. So he died a premature death, and in dying that death, I became the firstborn over that. Well, when you're 16, you don't want responsibility for 400 acres and all that it entails, nor do you fully understand that inheritance. But there was something about the concept of the war for the land up until that time that had been built in me. That's why I can help people with their vision, because it's land biblically is linked with your mind. That is one of the symbols of land. If you're taking the land, you're actually developing your mind to think the way God thinks over your portion. See? So see, you want to help people take their land. You want to help people establish their portion. Look at somebody and say, I know I've got a portion. Some of you aren't sure of what that portion is. Some of you have had to let go of that portion. Now with me, after I went to college and after I moved on, my mother, we secured the land. We got the land out of debt, but we sold that entire inheritance, and we each got our portion. Well, I got my portion. I did well with that portion. I finished